What is a shortcut? A shortcut is an easier and less expensive way to reach a destination. If you are traveling, for example, from Mexico City towards, let me name a town, San Salvador, the capital of El Salvador. And let's say you go by bus, and by bus it takes 18 hours. But you can also take an airplane, and you're there in around 45 minutes. The shortcut is to take the airplane, obviously. Now, the bus may be cheaper in money, but in time it's costly. And you have more risks because the bus can be robbed on its way and all of that. But with an airplane, just step in and within 45 minutes you're there. You still need to stand in line to check in and check out, so together it takes 2 hours. With the bus it takes 18 hours, with the airplane 2 hours. So that's a shortcut of 16 hours. Now, when you're traveling and you can take a shortcut by taking an airplane, do it. Unless there's another reason why you shouldn't take a shortcut. If, for example, you want to see more of the landscape, then take the bus, because the bus goes through the landscape. If you want to meet more people on the way, then you take the bus. So a shortcut is beneficial depending on the purpose of the journey. Hope that's clear now. The reason you need to understand this is because the psychology of fallen men comes to this. They want a shortcut to life itself. And that shortcut does not exist. However, just because this shortcut does not exist does not stop the fallen mind from craving it. So the fallen mind craves something that's a practical impossibility. So this fallen mind will always bring forth frustration. And worldly people can't handle frustration. They escalate. That's why they flee. That's why they dump negative energy and move away. So if you have a bunch of folks operating in the fallen mind, they can't handle frustration and they're all expecting something that cannot possibly happen, what do? If you allow them to just operate freely, things will go wrong. Sooner or later. What do? You regulate them. You offer them a shortcut that is illegitimate, because the shortcut itself presents itself as something legitimate, a shortcut to life. However, because there's no such thing as a shortcut to life, the shortcut itself is not legitimate. The shortcut is a scam. But because the scam reduces violent conflicts, because it regulates negative energy of the population, it has a short-term beneficial impact. You need to renew this beneficial impact over and over again, but it hinders people from picking up knives and stabbing one another. So, it's considered worth it. This shortcut offered to people operating in the fallen mind is society. Yes, society is a scam. Just think about it. You came in the world as a little baby. You were born. You were socialized by your environment, and that includes your parents, your relatives, the people around you. It's not just your parents, so everyone you encounter socialized you. You learned a native language. No language is native. Languages are constructs human beings made and developed over time, and that became in use, that became the norm in some territories due to political and economic considerations. So the language that they used in your environment became your native language. Was that your choice? No. You were conditioned and shaped in such a way. Your first name was not chosen by you. You were conditioned that way. How you spell your name in grammar was conditioned onto you. You get what I'm saying here? So, you've been conditioned. And based on this conditioning, you process data around you. But here's the thing. Are the folks around you open and true about the fact that they've been conditioned, that they're conditioning you? No. They all consider what they've been conditioned into as plain fact, something you can't dispute. Why is this? Because, as I mentioned before, common people or worldly people can't handle frustration. They escalate. That's why this urge to escape is something all fallen people have. To really face things and to be challenged, that's something common people just don't want. Collectively, therefore, they all agree to a shortcut, and nobody questions the shortcut. To question the shortcut implies you become the enemy. So, to operate in ease with one another, without people physically endangering one another, you need to regulate the emotions of the population. And you do that by giving them a common purpose. And this common purpose is the shortcut. This common purpose is society. So society is a scam. But a scam works so well that we don't see it as a scam. Society conditions you how to think, how to feel, what your word is, how to see others, who you can treat as crap, who you should treat with honor. They teach you what money is, what money isn't. They teach you, they teach you how to speak. They taught you what your name is. So society is a gathering of conditionings that are fear-based that folks enact. That's what society is. And because folks enact these fear constructs, people that violate the expectations of this fear construct are punished. They are afflicted with violence and harm. And people perceive this affliction that comes on those that violate society as evidence that society is real. But that's the trick. It's only a fear construct that the population enacts. So the moment half of the population refuses to enact the fear construct, there is no fear construct anymore because it's not enacted. If nobody enacts the fear construct, it's just a fiction on paper. But because folks enact it, it gives the impression that it is real. While the harm caused to those that don't comply with the enactment, the harm is real. But just because the harm inflicted on them is real doesn't mean that the thing in whose name people inflicted the harm is real. I hope you understand this. Just because the harm inflicted on those that violate the fear construct is real, doesn't mean that the fear construct itself, in whose name people inflict the harm, is real. But folks confuse the harm caused by not complying with society as evidence that society itself is real. That's a scam in itself. Look, as human beings, you need to get along, you need to regulate resources, so all of that needs to happen, okay? But because most people are not born again, they're not renewed in their mind, they operate in a fallen mind. They operate in the relief seeking. And the only way you can have a bunch of relief seekers together without them cutting each other's throat is by giving them a common purpose to distract them. Distract them so they won't have to face the root issue that their thinking does not add up. Common people want a shortcut to life, which implies they want all the benefits of life, all the benefits of relationships without having to endure anything. And here's the thing, folks. If you have a car Let's say someone gave you a car as a birthday present. It can be a Bugatti. It's a very expensive car. You don't even have to, let me say this, you receive a code that you can use at the gas station. You don't even have to pay for your gas. But here's the thing. When you receive the car, you still had to open your hands to receive the keys. Because without the keys, you can't enter the car. And once you have the keys, you still need to walk to the car, open the door, sit in it, and ignite the engine. If you don't do any of this, you can't benefit nor operate in the benefit from the car, neither can you operate in it. You get what I'm saying here? So even though the gift is free, the fact that the gift is free does not imply that there is no natural effort required on your part to make use of the gift. The purpose of a gift is for you to make use of it, but to make use of it means you need to actively receive it and actively participate in it. But common people, effectively speaking, they want to have their cake and eat it too. Effectively speaking, they want the car, but they get angry at the fact they need to put gasoline in the car to make the car work. It is as if the moment they receive the car, they're overjoyed and you're the best individual that walks the earth because you gave a car onto them. But then you realize, hold on a minute. I need to put this stinking liquid in this vehicle over and over again for it to work? Come on, I'm too good for this. That's too much effort. I'm not interested. I just want to be left alone instead of having to put this stinking liquid called gasoline in it all the time. So I need to go to a gas station over and over again to make this thing work? Come on. I don't want this. Now, everyone with a bit of knowledge of cars knows that whenever you have a car, you need to put the gas in it. Some use diesel, some use other types of liquid, but you need to put the gas in the car. Without gasoline, that thing will not work. It won't. So how can someone expect to operate in a car if they don't consider the requirements for the functioning of that car? If in real life anyone would act this way, wanting a car but not considering the requirements that are needed for the functioning of the car, people say this individual has lost his mind or her mind. They need to see a psychologist or maybe even a psychiatrist. They only look at the comfort, or they only look at the perceived comfort they can get for something. They don't see the bigger picture, what comes along with it. Common people too often, when they notice what comes along with it, they back off. They become demotivated. They're not interested anymore. Because they were never interested to begin with. What they were interested in, it was a shortcut. And when they realize that this shortcut is illegitimate, so it cannot happen, they flee. They run away. They shut down. They don't want to comply. Folks do this with children. They do this with marriages. They do this with the walk by faith. Folks do this with a lot of stuff. And that's why you have all that violence in the world. Violence comes down to you craving a shortcut that's not legitimate. Why does the burglar break into a house? He wants a shortcut. Why does the husband beat the wife? He wants a shortcut. Why does the parent physically or psychologically abuse his or her offspring? Because the parent wants a shortcut. Relief seeking is craving a shortcut that's not legitimate, because either the shortcut does not really exist, or if the shortcut exists, it's not desirable, nor is it wise to take it. I'm telling you, always look at the bigger picture. Agree with Christ and be at peace.